Welcome to bLU Talks.
Hi, yay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Yay. Okay.
And this is my co-host, Kelly. Kelly, meet Jolie.
Kelly.
Hi, Jolie.
Hi.
So I was expecting, because I know you said you were traveling, I was thinking that you were going to be doing the call from a car. So
I was too nervous. I was going to mess it up. So I was like, you know what? Let me hunker down. I'm in the mountains. I could lose Wi-Fi. I didn't want to mess it up. So I hunkered down.
I love it because it's already like one level above, because I thought it was going to be in the car. So it's already even.
Yeah, it probably would have been better. You'd see the mountains, but maybe I would have gotten signed off.
Yeah. It's better to have you here than the mountains here.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yay.
So exciting to finally meet. We've been chatting online, but hadn't met yet. And I mean, once I started reading about your background, I was just blown away. I just said, we need to bring this person on. Kelly doesn't, I mean, she's probably done a bit of her own research, but outside of, me bringing you on, she doesn't know a whole lot. So Jolie, what we usually like to do is get the guests to tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we dive in further. So, and you don't have to worry about how far you go back, because we'll dive in further. But can you just tell us a little bit about yourself rather than me reading it on a piece of paper?
Sure. So I come from a teaching background. My history, 30 years in teaching and transformation and educating. I live to serve. So I started as a teacher in lockdown facilities and prisons and jails. And the serendipity of what was to come next was I always let the kids fight, but one-on-one, no one can jump in. And I was in the reverse discrimination. I was the only white girl in these schools. And they were like, how's this little white girl get these kids in order? And I say, I'll let them fight, but no one jumps in one-on-one. I would literally facilitate it and move the chairs and let them fight. And I was in fitness because teaching didn't pay such a good salary. So after school every day, I taught fitness. And then I ended up owning a boxing gym. I opened in 1998, South Beach Boxing. We were the rebirth of when the Fifth Street Gym closed, where Muhammad Ali trained with Angelo Dundee. And I thought boxing originally was just fighting. I didn't get the whole thing. And then obviously the serendipity of it all was I was teaching boxing my whole life in the jails and the prisons. And it changed my whole life. So it went on to, I have a charity now. And we had all the greats training at my gym. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones, Muhammad Ali did a bunch of birthdays at my gym. Everybody, Bo Jack, Roberto Duran. So I really got to live around heroes, which is amazing. And I brought the kids in from inner city schools. I'm very involved in the schools, and I bring them in. Any problem, I don't know what that means, but misbehaved children or someone that says they're problem children, I take them. And it's my pleasure, and I love it. And I make them strong. I love teaching people to be strong and fit, because for me, a strong body is a strong mind, and everything I do is about strength, being stronger, fitter, faster, longer, better, always, and doing it now. Like, get up and do it now. No excuses, a lot of grit, a lot of hustle, a lot of alignment with what it is you say you want to do. If they don't want to be strong, then I'm not going to make them strong, but who doesn't want to be strong? So now I have a charity, and it's called Jolie's Kids. So for every kid that pays, a kid that can't afford it goes free. And I love social integration, age integration, economic integration. It really is magic. It creates magic to have the whole mix of it all. And I have all that in one space. So it's South Beach Boxing. But now since quarantine, and I'm a freedom fighter and I run away from control, I'm creating a new brand, and it's called Mind, Body, Spirit, Fit. And the FIT is an acronym for Fight for Intentional Transformation from Love. So I teach a win-win, how to ask for what you want and get it, how to just have life your way and serve at the same time. A lot of people have either or conversations, and I love to teach having it all. I like the and word. So that's where I'm at.
Wow, so much to unpack there. I think the first thing I wanted to ask you about, because what's amazing to me that you started in the boxing world at a professional level, let's say, meaning opening the gym and that in 1988. Because honestly, you don't look like you're old enough to do that. Because I mean, I was born in '75 and
98.
Oh, I thought I saw 88.
Oh no, I'm not old enough to open an 88. 98.
98.
I'm going on 23 years. Yeah.
Okay. 23 years is still a long time. My question though is, in that industry, is it safe to say that a lot of the gyms were owned predominantly by males? Like, was it a male-dominated industry?
100%. I've always been the female in a male-dominated industry, even in teaching in jails and lockdowns. And it is a male-dominated sport, and I'm the female that took over for my gym is super well known all over the world, and the men need a woman's touch. You know, boxing gyms are grungy and they're raw, and a lot of people think, oh, boxing intimidating. It's the least intimidating place, and mine, even though it's raw, it's super clean. So I'm very into it. Needed a woman's touch, very clean. And it's beautiful, and the community and the magic. And I would have to say, people would be like, I'm glad a woman's running this place.
I love that.
If you're in the boxing.
Well, I want to ask you about that because, like I said, I mean, we think of it as a traditionally male-dominated sport. So was it difficult? And when I say this, I mean, from a client perspective, was it more difficult to get clients in? Like, do they think I should be going to a male gym or anything like that? Like, did you run into that at all?
98, imagine it was almost 23 years ago, and boxing wasn't in the fitness world. We brought it to the fitness world. So I had to educate people very often that they weren't going to get hit. We were going to train them like a fighter, because it's the only sport where you're weighed in. So every pound of your body is used. So you're literally generating power, which I say I'm all about strength and power. So I really did my homework. If I'm going to go into a male-dominated sport, I'm going to make sure I really know my stuff. And there was no suppressing me. I really knew what I was doing, and they listened, and I put out a really great product, and I live for service. So there was no objections. Yeah. But in the beginning, it was hard. I mean, I'm the girl that owns the boxing gym. It took a lot of educating to be accepted, but I'm a fighter.
Go ahead, Kelly. I think you want to say something about boxing.
Yeah.
You use the word boxing, so
I know. I love that. You know, when I saw that we were going to have you on board, I was so excited, because the reason boxing is near and dear to my heart is because my dad actually competed for Canada in the Pan Am Games in 1978, and he won the bronze medal.
Yay.
And yeah, so, and then my uncle, so his brother, he actually was a coach right up until I think last year. He finally stopped coaching, and it was interesting because he got into coaching the females because he found that the girls were more committed than some of the boys.
Yeah, the girls, you know, the guys want to wail out right when they start, and it's not street fighting. The best fighter is very relaxed and never angry. So, and in the Army, even though I'm going back to boys, it turned boys into men. So it's all about respect and honor and accomplishment and grit, and really turns boy. I don't really love women to be in the professional sport of boxing. So I just mean boxing in life, bob and weave, stick and move, come out winning. I'm writing a book right now called Life According to the Rules of Boxing. So I don't box professionally in the ring, even though I sparred my whole previous 15 years of life. But I don't really love girls boxing so much. I just think everyone should learn how to fight, learn how to defend themselves, and learn to be super strong. But I like the men in the ring for sure. And the girls do pick it up quicker for the workout. They listen, they have rhythm too. It's a very rhythmic sport. So if you can't dance, it's a little bit difficult to get the rhythm of boxing.
Right. Cool. I love it. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, and I want to dive into what your experience has been with influence and branding and stuff in that area. And I also want to talk about coaching, because obviously you're in the, we see it right on your name, NLP, you're into neuro-linguistic programming. So I'd like to talk about that. But I'm curious, did you watch the fight the last, about a week ago with Tyson and Jolie?
Did you see my Instagram? It was so great because she's like my mom. Muhammad Ali's ex-wife is like my chosen mom. And it just so happened the same 2 days I was in Raleigh, she was in Raleigh, and I didn't even know about it. And I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see Kalila signing autographs. And I'm like, where is that? And it's Raleigh. I'm like, Raleigh? And then I'm like, how far is that? 2 miles from where I was. So if you see on my Instagram, I literally gave her a heart attack. So I surprised her. I went and we watched it at a neighboring gym in Raleigh, and Bone Crusher Smith was there, and Bill Clancy, just a few of old school people. And yes, we did watch the fight. I don't agree with the decision, but we watched the fight.
I don't know if this is like politics. Am I allowed to ask who you thought should win?
I think Tyson won it. Yeah, he definitely was in better shape.
I'm not a boxing. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs, but from outside looking in, it looked like Tyson dominated that whole thing. And it looked like Jones was really tired.
Then you know more than you think. Yes. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, boxing is hilarious because it's a one-on-one sport. No one's saving you. No one's bailing you out. That's why I love the anti-bully. I am the bully of bullies. So I love that one-on-one. And when a fighter smiles, they're hurt. It's always reverse. And he was talking so much trash after. And I love Roy Jones. He's great. But have respect for Tyson did great and he did better. And I think he got a little bit robbed for sure. Roy was out of breath from second one.
Oh, the other thing, just to finish that off, is that I also know there were rules that like Tyson wasn't allowed to knock him out. My understanding is there was actual rules because of the age and everything. They made those. That's what I read anyway. I don't know if that.
So they did say that. I did hear that as well, but it was 2-minute rounds and it was an exhibition. But they also said there wasn't supposed to be a winner because it's a 3-minute round. But ever since Conor McGregor got to fight Mayweather, I'm kind of out of the sport of the professional part of boxing. I like more old school. I don't think that fight should have ever happened. It's not even legal. You're not supposed to fight a 12-round fight till you did 4, 6, 8, 10. So yeah, now it's just so money. It always was. Boxing started, it's like no mud, no lotus, right? So boxing started with the rich man taking advantage of the poor kid. So it's the synergy of all of it that's so beautiful, but it's the boxers that have hearts of angels. No one would ever think that. And they're the most angelic, soft, kind humans. I think I've met 1 or 2 boxers that weren't so kind. The rest you're like, wow. But they go through war. So imagine what you do when you come out on the other side, and imagine getting hit so many times and then shaking hands after. That's amazing. And I heard the lady before talk about, it's all about humble. Of course, it's the most humbling sport ever.
Love it. So Jolie, what I want to talk to you about next is Instagram, which is where I kind of discovered you through Instagram. And I want to get because so many people come to me saying, I'm so lost with Instagram. It's the one that they haven't figured out yet. And I feel like you have it to some degree figured out. Like you engage in it often, you use it often, so you probably learned some things, some tricks of the trade. What have you found, and I know this is a deep question to jump in right away, but what have you found has moved the needle the most for you being on Instagram?
Well, interesting. I bounce back and forth between the different genres or the audience of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And, trying to tackle it all is not easy, being everywhere at the same time. I would say Instagram is a younger, from what I find, crowd. The engagement. So I'm crazy with service. So if I get a comment, I respond. If I didn't respond, I'm like almost horrified. Like, how did I leave that person out? I hate leaving someone incomplete or not responded to. So I'm pretty much white on rice with the responses. And I do a lot of stories. And I also live a life that's high action. So I'm always posting in my daily life of the fighting and the gym and the community and the charity. So I guess it's more of an engaging type of content than going to work today, leaving today. So I guess it's more exciting. Otherwise, I don't know why I've gotten traction on that. I actually believe I have more traction on Facebook because when I do live videos, I get a lot more views on it. But really, I think you got to be everywhere, and that's a hard task to do. So it's being everywhere and managing all of it, not leaving anybody out. But I really believe you got to engage. You got to comment, you got to like, you got to respond, and you got to be consistent in post.
Yeah, again, same like you said to me about me on the boxing side. I have to say, I think you have your handle around it more than you're even giving yourself credit for, because you said key things there. Consistency on social media is everything. But engagement, like this day and age, and I'm guilty of this too. It's so easy to go, I'm just going to put it out there and then I'm going to go do my thing. But it's also not that's not social. Like, so if I put a post on LinkedIn and then I just say, you're welcome, and walk away, then I'm not following the service that I'm expecting this service to be about, which is let's engage with each other. Let's be social. And so I love what you said there about you don't want to leave anybody without closure. And I think that's a golden nugget that probably some people will gloss over, but it's huge to not leave people hanging.
Yeah, I really hate the feeling of being left out. I don't remember it being so strong for me as a kid, but I don't want to leave anyone out. I don't want anyone to, one of my strengths on the Strength Finder, the second one is includer. So I love including people and I love sharing authentically and I love contributing to people. So I watch the feedback on what is getting the most views or what's getting the most engagement. And then I ask questions of what they like most, and then I give them what they want. You got to give your people what you want, and exactly what you said, you got to be social. It's called social media. So you can't just post and leave, and it's got to have a common thread throughout so people really get to know you and who you are. And what's amazing is feedback is so important. People don't realize the lives they're changing when they do contribute. And when you do get the feedback, you're like, wow, that did make a difference. And then imagine how much more difference you're making of the people that don't tell you. Even when I was a school teacher, I explained to my trainers that work for me in the gym, I always say, you don't even know the lives you're transforming. So you got to take every minute, second opportunity that you're in front with people and deliver value, because you're changing lives that you will never know about. And who doesn't want to contribute?
So agree. And Kelly, I want to give you a chance to jump in. I was going to say one of the things, Jolie, that I saw, and I was just now scrolling on your Instagram because I remember there was one that really jumped out at me. And I don't want to say his name wrong, but Angelo Dundee. Am I saying it right?
Yes, the best.
So that post, and again, I don't know why, I can't even explain why, but that's the post I saw of yours that pulled me right in. And then I went and Googled him and researched and did a lot of stuff and learned stuff. And this was even before talking about bringing you on here. And so again, how do we know why something resonates with us? But for me, it was a picture of you and somebody else who I immediately thought, because of your background in boxing, must be related to boxing. So I got to go read this post. And again, I don't know the reason, but to your point, if I were a becoming boxer and I had heard of him, I mean, that could change my entire life, reading that post, right? Because I could read about him and go, he inspires me, and your post could have inspired me through that osmosis. And so to your point, you never know when a post is going to resonate with somebody.
For sure. That's why people, anytime, there's a book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. It's like, don't be scared. You got to be authentic and share. You never know who you're reaching, and you never know what's going to come back, and you never know when. Like it could have, I think the post you're talking about was probably a long time ago. I don't even know when that was. So yeah, you never know what you put out and what comes back. It could be a year from now. That's why service is so important at all times, because it might not be an instant result. It could be later on. Why not serve anyway, right? It comes from you and it comes back to you. So I love teaching to always come from love, because whether you notice it's coming back to you, it's coming back to you.
Well, on that note, and then Kelly, I want you to jump in with anything you might want to ask Jolie as well. But, it's a great point. Like, we're filming this on 12 different platforms. And so when I'm watching it, it's only like on this side here, it's only through the Facebook side, but it's on LinkedIn Live, it's on YouTube, it's on, like I say, probably 10 different Facebook platforms. And then on top of that, it will stay up as a replay. And now people are like learning on demand. I want to watch it when I want to watch it. And so then it'll be up as a replay. And then, maybe use some clips on the podcast later. And my point of what you're saying is this stuff, who knows who's going to impact it? Who knows when they're going to discover it? And I learned, a couple of years ago that you can't anymore force feed somebody and say, you have to be there at this time. But at the same time, you have to kind of look at it like the whole world could tune in at some point. So I'm going to deliver as if the whole world tuned in.
For sure.
So I see that a lot with this is because, like I say, and there are even comments like the way StreamYard works, certain comments won't show up. And then I go back and find all these different comments in all these places. So I have to make sure that again, to your point, I don't leave anybody hanging. And so I really think it's important we show up the same way we show up regardless of what the situation is. I mean, I'm a big believer of showing up for everything.
Yeah, you don't want to leave someone with, people are going to make things up anyway, because that's what we do. We make it all up. And I'd like to clarify things for them and not leave room for miscommunication. I'm horrified if I leave someone out or I didn't answer them. And then I'm like, oh my God, my apologies, I missed it. And you got to be everywhere to see everyone's comments. But, you know, I always tell my staff, you can make someone's day or break someone's day. And for sure, I'm going to make their day. Everybody is going to leave my space feeling much, much better when they walked in, for sure. That's the goal.
100%. Love that. So Kelly, I don't want to steal all the time here. So Kelly, did you, anything pop up for you that you want to ask?
Yeah, well, you know, you're right about impacting people, because like I grew up in the same town that I'm in right now. And it's funny because some of my friends guys that I went to high school with will tell me, oh yeah, your uncle taught me how to box. And if I wouldn't have taken boxing in high school when I did, I probably would be dead. I'm so grateful that your uncle, you know, coached me to box, because it kept me off the streets. It kept me off drugs. It kept me out of the bars and, you know, hanging out with the bad kids. And, you know, he taught me all these things. And you're right. A lot of time we don't find these things out until years and years and years later.
Boxing saves lives, for real. It takes kids off the street. It makes them strong. It redirects their life tenfold. It's amazing. People think they're joining my gym to lose weight, and they don't realize they get their whole life transformed. That's why I'm writing this book, Life According to the Rules of Boxing, because you really want to box in life. You got to bob and weave, come out winning. All the philosophies of boxing are just phenomenal for life, and martial arts in general. The discipline and the practice and always chasing the perfect punch, right? You're never there. You never get it. You never master it. And my belief is you never really master anything. There's always more to get to, always more to go, and always more to discover and uncover.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I noticed this is something I just noticed, maybe because I spend a lot of time speaking, but I noticed you, and I just did it now, I use the word but I noticed you use and a lot rather than but. Is that an NLP thing, or where?
So I used to lead the introductions to the Landmark Forum. And then my NLP master prac came from Richard Bandler, who created it. And I have a master's in behavior, and I use my words to create my world. And I'm very clear that but kills off the first half. So I want to make sure that if I want to kill off the first half, I'll use the word but. But I have even a little tattoo of the word and. I love the word and. It's my favorite word in the dictionary, because I'm a firm believer in have it all. Like, people have these limiting beliefs like, oh, I can't do that, or, oh, I don't have time for that, or, you know, so much story around stuff, and none of it is true. And they really could carve it all out and have what they want with the word and. Of course you could have it all. There's people that have it all. If someone has it, you can too. So you form your team.
I love that. Well, I use and or a lot. And I feel like then at least it's better than but, because I get to choose then. And I can have both, or I'll choose this one or the other.
Yes, yes.
And now I'm going to use the word but the rest of this time more than I ever do, because now it's, you know, when you talk about it, then all of a sudden it'll be now my thing that I'll jump back to it. But I just meant to do it. And I think it's so cool that you do that, because I don't think everybody notices that, but it's so powerful, and psychologically it plays a part.
People might not notice, but they get it, because words are all we have to communicate. And whether they notice and talk about it, they still understand that but killed off the first half. And, you know, to slow down and choose your words wisely, you're creating everything with your words. Nothing exists without language, nothing. And then we have agreement on language. So to add to and to, it's just and is in a positive direction, and is adding on. I use the word but if I want to kill off the first half. So I will intentionally use the word but to kill off the first half, but usually I don't want to kill off the first half. Otherwise I wouldn't have said it.
Well, I have a friend who's a Jack Canfield train the trainer. And she's the person that brought it to my attention that I need to stop saying but in those areas. And she's say, Corey, and, you know, she really highlighted it for me. So I wouldn't have even noticed you doing it, I don't think, if it not for her putting it in my mind about a year ago. It's so powerful. And again, so overlooked. And I want to dive into the other ways you work with people, because we've talked mostly boxing, but Again, there we go. I think I'm going to get used to it now. I'm going to pick that up and notice what I'm doing.
Yeah, but the best part is you're noticing. And that's
true.
so awesome, because when you know, awareness is everything. And now you're going to pick it up, and now you're going to notice, and it's going to be a conversation piece, and you're going to share it, and you'll make a difference with people over the word because you were using the word but. It's so awesome to notice. I love it. And to stop yourself and recreate is the greatest. Now you're redefining the communication you want, right? Communication is all in the listening. So, there's a saying in Landmark, I create you, creating me, creating you. So I tell my staff, I can get you to say whatever I want, right? I can ruin your day, make your day. I take full responsibility for how you show up. So it's really powerful to be able to say, I take 100% responsibility for everything that shows up, right? Because it's able to respond. So people are like, responsible, my fault. They like automatically go to like the negative connotation of that. And no, it's a beautiful thing. Who doesn't want to be responsible? I want to be able to respond to everything in my life. So, yes.
Wow. So let's talk about the other stuff that you do then besides running the gym and all that great stuff. You also help people on the coaching side. Clearly, you're empowering to people on a daily basis. So can you tell us a little bit more about the other work that you do, and even what NLP is? I never even said what it was. Also Landmark, but can you tell us about all this great stuff as well?
Thank you. It's funny, I never even write NLP, but now I see people writing NLP, and I was like, I'll join in that bandwagon, I guess. But I've been immersed in personal development. I live by the quote, work harder on yourself than you do on your job and life becomes easier. Jim Rohn, one of my favorites. And my master's was behavior. So NLP was just like a little thing after that. But I see so many people are attaching to NLP. So I put it because people like it. Like you said, social media, I guess they're going to relate to it and see it. But I was always doing stimulus response. Everything, like I just did 10-day immersion with Joe Dispenza. And everything he does is about stimulus response, right? And you think it, and it goes into everything is stimulus response. So, and that was my master's degree. All I did was chart behavior. So I will have to say my talent is really the magic of being in someone's listening, really knowing what they don't know just by listening. And I show people who they are, and I'll remind them who they are. And I get it from them. I ask a million questions. For the reason of getting into their listening. And I just really want to serve and make an impact. So even if someone came to my gym and they were like, oh, I don't want intense, I'll show them where to go. I'll be like, well, this is really intense. So, I'll put them where to go. So my passion, like you said, what else do you do, is the coaching. And it's the mind, body, spirit fit, because I love emotional fitness. I love emotional readiness. You could be book smart and not have common sense. You could be strong, but not have a strong mind. It's possible, even though Will Smith trained at my gym for the Ali movie, and he said the keys to life are running and reading. Reading, knowledge is power, running to beat the voice in your head. And I love beating the voice in my head. I love pushing past my limits. I love dying and going further. It's so, don't get me wrong, not during. And I always tell people, they're always like, you love working out, you own a gym. And I say, no one likes working out before they work out. They all like it after. Kind of like motivation. Motivation is almost like the dumbest word ever, because you have it when it's over. You don't get motivated to do something before it happens. You get motivated that you accomplished, you did it, and then you'll do it again. So motivation is intrinsically the result that you get from the work you put in and from honoring your word. So I really teach, have life your way, create it the way you want, honor yourself. It's all about honoring yourself. Have a good day or not, it's your choice, I tell people. So really getting people aligned with their language. I'm such a language buff of, people go, I want a six pack, I want this. Well, no, you don't. You're not doing anything it takes to get there. So I really get clear with people. Let's see if you really want it. Let's go over what it's going to take to get it. Maybe you'll change your mind. Maybe you won't want it, and then that's okay. It's okay, but you don't want what's not okay and what doesn't work, because I'm a fan of use what works and don't use what doesn't work, is it's not okay to constantly, oh, I'm doing this, I want this, and then do nothing about it. That's like, those are not my clients. My clients are definitely humble badasses, people that have this spark inside them that I pull it out. So I love turning people into their greatest self I take them grocery shopping. I show them what to eat, how to recover. I had a motorcycle accident, so I have 11 herniated discs. I split my whole head open. Yep. And they wanted me to have a media fusion surgery. I said, you're not on my team. And I knew Joe Dispenza healed his. So once I know it's possible from someone else, and I built a whole team around me. And this is 2 years ago. I had such a bad episode. I was literally singing karaoke to get off my floor. It was terrible. And having to watch people box, and I couldn't do it. So these 2 years, I did Pilates certification. I did breathwork coaching. I did so much meditation. The gold is in the meditation. And I'm healing myself. So I really like to educate people that they don't need to go to a doctor. They don't need to listen to other people. All the answers are inside of you. They just have to, like Esther Hicks says, tuned in, tapped in, turned on. So they got to tune in, tap in, and turn on to their own intuition. You have all the answers. Everyone wants to like ask social media, ask on Facebook. No, you know the answer. It's just, it sounds easy, like heal yourself or breath work. It's one word. It's a life journey. It's a choice of how you're going to live your life. So I just like to be the role model of really living life your way, super healthy. I live really healthy in mind, body, spirit. I really work on throwing out the obstacles out of my way and getting through it in a healthy manner and healing myself where I don't have to, hey, I have this problem. Can you help me? Just go to a stranger? No way. I don't want to just go to a doctor and they give me a prescription. And I have another book that's going to come after this book. And I talk a lot about the pharmaceutical world and just how growing up, I was given so many meds. Like as a kid, they gave me tetracycline by the hundreds for my skin. It never cured my skin. And then they wanted to give me the purple pill that's all over the commercial. Never. That was the rule break, the drawbreaker. I wouldn't take a pill for nothing. Prevention is way easier than correction. It's all possible. It's a lot of work, but it's like the quote says, it's not easy, but it's worth it. So it's for sure worth it. I'm not at the mercy of a doctor. So, and things happen, but I heal it. You start to research, you put people on your team. So I had an osteopath, the Pilates. So now that my whole life has been dedicated to this mind, body, spirit, fit, I just really love motivating people to take life into their own hands and create a life that they want and that they can have and not have limiting beliefs that, oh, I can't have this because this, or this is it. The second I hear that, I'm like, take that out. So I'm just, I tap into people's language. So because the but and the and people don't notice and they don't notice they're destroying their life with their words, I have them recreate their life with their words and let them see, wow, I can do it. Once someone says and sees there's an opening and an option for a better way, their whole world, a whole new world emerges because now they see possibility where there was no possibility. And that's most important.
So a couple things there I wanted to unpack. One of the things, and this just popped into my head, but I think this helps people visualize it too. But I don't know if you're familiar with Eric Thomas. You know that name? He's are you familiar with him, Kelly? Eric Thomas? He's you guys need to check him out. He's a motivational speaker, but this guy just gives you goosebumps. He's so good. Like he's like the next Les Brown. He's just this amazing speaker. Anyway, one of the things I remember him saying is, "You want my life, but you don't want my grind."
Yeah.
And you're not going to get my life without my grind. And he dissects that, but that's what it made me think of when you said people want this, but they don't want to put in the work. Well, it's the same thing. He's like, you don't want to be whatever that looked like to him. You don't want to be in the road to do the talk, 24 hours to get there and all that stuff, but you want to be the speaker that's on the stage doing the talk.
Well, I don't want to put in the work either. I don't want to do the work either, but we all do lots. I don't want to wake up in the morning. There's lots of things we don't want to do. And you do it anyway, because number one, my word. Number two, I want the results. And I really constantly see the results and beat the voice in my head. I teach the kids, this is me. Oh my God, I'm going to die. I don't want to do it. I'm doing it now. And I show them what I go through that you just interject. And I'm queen of teaching self-talk constantly. I'm like, Jolie, shut up. You're doing it now. I have to get a grip on myself, talk to myself and redirect myself. I got to be the boss of me. So I really interject. I don't want to do it either. I do it anyway.
Well, and the other thing I was going to tell you, and then I want to go in a different direction as we start to wind down, but you mentioned Jim Rohn. And I never believe in coincidences, but it's interesting how when we do these events, the same people sort of overlap. So when you mentioned Jim Rohn, he's been mentioned, I think, 3 times probably, Kelly, in the last 3 days. But yesterday we had on Jim Rohn's former business partner. So Kyle Wilson, who actually launched Jim Rohn's speaking business. He owned JimRohn.com. He coached Robin Sharma and Darren Hardy and a bunch of other thought leaders. But, you know, we had him on talking yesterday about Jim Rohn, and, you know, it's same idea. Like, he told me this was, I don't think he said this yesterday. I think he told me this just a call we had recently. But, you know, Jim Rohn was the best speaker ever, but he didn't know fully how to run a speaking business yet. And so, you know, he had to work with Kyle because Kyle knew how to run events and stuff like that. And so the reason I'm bringing this up, there's a reason where I'm going with this, but I think it's cool you mentioned Jim Rohn because we happen to have his business partner on yesterday, his former business partner. But the interesting part is Jim and Kyle became a team that was successful. Like, Kyle talked about the year before Jim and him worked together, Jim had 20 talks. The year after they worked, the next year, Jim had 140 talks. You know, and so more people knew about Jim Rohn. They impacted more lives, all that kind of great stuff. But they were a team. And one of the things I noticed that you said here, I didn't count the amount of times, but I feel like it's probably at least 5 minimum. You said, on my team, as a part of my team. And I think it was Usher I heard one time say, I don't know if it's his thing, but teamwork makes the dream work. But it seems like you're really big on team. So can you tell us about that? Because it seems like you have like coaches and teams and stuff for everything. Like, when you said team, probably people thought at the gym. But then you said the osteoporosis, process, you know, like everybody, you're talking about various aspects of your life having team members. So how big is it?
Yeah. Well, I am very clear at a young age. I got very clear what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And the only reason I get to shine so much and people think I'm great in a certain area is because I'm operating in my strengths. So, but if you put me behind a computer or you put me to create the system, like how you said, Jim Rohn had this guy, Kyle, that put him together. Yeah, you need someone to propel you to the next level. So you can only be good at what you're good at. And if you don't utilize outer sources, you know, when I was a teacher, I hated when teachers worked with kids on what they weren't good at, because I was like, oh, Johnny sucks at math, but he's good at reading. Cool, let's go read more. I love sucking people for their strengths. So when I hire people, I give them all strength tests. And I speak into their strengths always, right? Because I want to empower. I want the best out of you. I want to talk to you and have you then empower others. So I literally will be like, oh, you have a ranger strength. Can you come and arrange this? And I talk to people as their strength. And then you said, oh, my team with my own personal life is, yeah, well, when you go to a doctor, you go to a lawyer, you're building a team. These are the people you're putting on your team to accomplish whatever it is you're looking to accomplish. So anything I'm looking to accomplish, I'm not doing by myself. So I'm always building a team, and I'm always thinking of what's missing, right? In Landmark, they teach you what's missing, the presence that would make a difference. So I always look of what's working, what's not working, what do I need to take out, and what do I need to put in? And then what I need to put in, do I have those skills? Okay, where do I get them? Who's the best? Who can help me with that? And I'm very clear that I'll be like, oh my God, I suck at this, please help. And I get the help I need for the areas that I'm not good at. I don't want to operate in areas I'm not good at. That's not empowering. So I don't like when schools work with kids on what they're not good at, because really you can spend a lot more time sharpening your tool, and you can always be better on your strength. And you really want to sharpen your tools. So I want to work on my areas. That's why I'm always doing personal development, because I know that's my area. That's my stuff. That's my juice. So I'm keep doing it. And I can't say, oh, I know everything. I got to keep doing more and more and more. Every day I wake up after meditating, I'm on YouTube listening to Jim Rohn, Wayne Dyer, Joe Dispenza. It's like nonstop in my ears. You're always be selling, always be closing, always be transforming. Always. I love always.
Well, and something you just said there, which you know, I think is so powerful in terms of, you know, us. I will say being, first of all, a lifelong learner. Like, I love that you just talked about that, the importance of feeding our mind, because I think we forget that so often. And I've often said that people never forget to feed their body, but often forget to feed their mind. And
I wish they'd be the opposite.
well, the school thing you said, though, I wanted to tackle that for a second, too, because I think that's so important. I've interviewed now over 6,500 people, and these are some of the top influencers in the world. And almost in every case, and a lot of these people struggled in school, but they hire for their weaknesses. And so to your point, they don't spend more time getting better at their weakness in most cases. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but most don't, because they hate things that they're weak at anyway. They hate doing it. But I think that's such an important point that's missing. I was great in business in school, and I was horrible in science. And they were force-feeding science down my throat. And then I'm like, but business I like. Well, don't work at that because you're good at it. But
you know what? The bad will ruin the good, because if they force feed you in science, you could end up hating the part that you like. So, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And the word force feeding is like, nothing in that is good. And the first thing I said when I came on is, it's not like I don't just use words to just throw them out there. I live for the win-win, because there's always a win-win. So I'm not going to force feed. I'm not going to give you what you don't want. And usually what you're good at, you like. So that's a win-win. When you're good, you like it. When you suck, you don't like it. Lose, win-win. I don't want to give you what you're not good at. So I ask people, you know, the problem with school, there's a lot of problems with school, but the kids that learn auditorially are called smart, and the kids that don't learn auditorial are not smart. So when I'm in my gym, I ask people, do you want me to show it to you? Do you want me to tell you about it? Would you like to look at it yourself? I ask a million questions, because people don't even want to order the same burger. Like, you can't even get two people liking the same burger in a restaurant. Could you imagine speaking to everybody the same way and expecting them to receive it in the same way? So when I talk, I don't know, I'm sure you'll notice I'll cater to the visual or the auditory. I'll say things the same time in a different way so people can hear it, because sometimes you got to hear the same thing over and over again, and you hear it newly. There's a saying, another saying in Landmark, I love their methodology, is you don't listen, you never listen, and you're not listening right now, because we're judging and assessing, and we're agreeing or not agreeing. And we skip over. It's true listening. You got to hear it. I got to say, did you understand what I said? Tell me what I said. Recreate what I said. And then I can go, oh, no, that's not what I meant, right? Because communication is for the understanding. So I want to speak for understanding, and I want them to speak for my understanding. So I'm always clarifying, and I'm always making sure that the message was received.
Well, and Kelly, I want to give you a chance to ask any remaining questions you might have as we start to bring things to a close. But one thing I want to share, when you talk about that as well, about the idea of trying to, again, force people to focus on their weaknesses. I always think of this story in Think and Grow Rich about Henry Ford, and how Henry Ford, people called him ignorant, and he wanted to prove that they were wrong. So it ended up going to court. Now, I can't remember the exact context, but they went to go into court because somebody was trying to prove he's ignorant. I think it was that they were trying to prove he wasn't fit to run the company, like Ford Motor Company. Whatever way, he got in court, and they were asking him all these big questions, and he didn't know the answers to them. I think he had a grade 3 education. Anyway, but what he said spoke so many volumes, and it's actually what made the judge throw the case out. Now, this is all according to Think and Grow Rich. But he said, I don't understand why you're asking me all these questions. If I need to know the answer to this question, I'll just call one of my team members and ask them the answer, and they'll go find the answer for me.
Exactly.
And the judge said, that doesn't seem like a dumb man to me.
Yeah, resourceful. Yeah, Tony Robbins says it's never about resources, a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness. And I love that, because people have this money conversation, and I can't say I'm absent of the time conversation. I really work like how you're working on the but word. I work on my I don't have time word. So it's really expanding, looking at your communication. Like if I go, oh, I don't have time. Well, of course I have time. So I have to say, okay, well, that's not my priority, or I don't choose to fit that in my day. Really reworking and re-choosing your words and making them fit your world and create your world is really best, because you want to be resourceful. I don't have money, I don't have time. Okay, game over. Like, what is that? You don't want game over. Okay, we're done now. So no, you got to find an opening, like a boxer. It's not like all those limiting beliefs are dead ends. And then it kills your dream. So I want to ignite people's dreams, not kill their dream. I want to show them the way where they can have it, and show them that they can have possibility, because then their whole face lights up. And energy is everything. So when they see the possibility, they have more energy going through them. When there's no possibility, it's low energy. It's all about the frequency. So I really work on showing people how great they are.
And so, Kelly, I want to give you a chance to ask Jolie any questions before we bring things to a full close. But also, Jolie, I'm going to ask you, just as a heads up, I want to ask you how people can connect with you, learn more, work with you, because Kelly, I don't feel like me, but I'm fired up. I'm ready to go take on the world myself right now.
Yeah.
So I'll let you, if I don't want to leave you out, if you have a question or two you want to pose before we finish things
But I
off.
just wanted to make a comment. And, you know, I think one of the fastest ways to build a kid's self-esteem or to build their confidence is by letting them excel at what they're great at. If you want to destroy a child or even an adult's self-esteem, make them do what they hate, because that will destroy their self-esteem and their confidence. And I just really believe that, you know, we're so, it seems like as parents, sometimes we're so adamant about saying, okay, you have to learn piano because I learned piano, so you must learn how to do the piano. But the kid hates it, right? So, and then they feel like a loser because they're not good at it. But then you go and you put them in boxing, and then they're like amazing at it, and they win the medals, and they do great. And that's how they build their self-esteem, because they're doing something they love. So
I'm such a stand for full self-expression. I love people being fully self-expressed, and people don't ask questions enough. Like, ask the kid. A lot of times I have parents, we're really strict with the parents in my gym. So I'm always like, I didn't ask you, I asked the kid. And I'll say to them, you know, they'll be 7. And if they're late or they're not showing up, the kid has to call. And the mother will come in and be like, oh, I'm sorry, my kid's late. I'm like, no, you're not in my class. I don't see your name on my roster. The kid's in the class. Does your kid have a cell phone? Yes. Well, then they know how to text. So I always explain, they don't walk through a doorway at 18 and all of a sudden they're ignited with responsibility. No, you instill it when you're 5, 4, you know, make your bed, clean up after yourself, and ask, what do you want to do today? Oh, you don't want to do that? Okay, we won't do that. You know, asking the kids, the parent always wants to talk for the kid. I'm like, did you ask your kid what they wanted? They have a mouth. After 6, you're out of the alpha state. They're starting to get into this beta. They can think on their own. And it's really about empowering to make choices. Otherwise, you stunt their growth. They get not fully self-expressed, quiet. They don't answer. They don't speak up. You want them to speak up. You want their whole world to light up. You want them to be excited when they talk, excited for what they do. Because like I said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. I don't want to put them in an activity that they hate. So my passion is bonding parents and teens through fitness. That's really my ultimate passion. I love teaching the communication between parents and their kids. I feel like they both have a disconnection in communication, and fitness is a universal language. So when you push people past their limits, their endorphins are so high, they can communicate on a much higher level when they're doing fitness together. So that's my number one passion. And then teaching people just how to live a healthy life in mind, body, spirit.
I love that. And, you know, it's, you made me think of when you were talking about, both you guys, Kelly as well, when you're talking about getting the kid to do something because you thought you were good at it or what have you. This just happened to me just this morning. I was going at the door. I bought a new guitar, and I was giving my aunt my old guitar because she sold me her guitar for way less than she should have. And I'm like, well, and she loved this guitar she has, and I had the same one at home, and I didn't even want it anymore. So I'm like, why did I give her the guitar on top of it? Because she's already given me too good of a deal. So my son sees me bringing a guitar at the door, and he's like, Daddy, I want a small guitar. Like, in other words, he wants whatever you call a 3/4 kid's guitar. Now he wants that. Yeah, but it would be so easy for me to go, oh, my kid's going to be a guitarist. And then all of a sudden put him in lessons and all that. But he couldn't put his fingers on there once, and that hurt on. You know, like,
that's me.
I mean, but it wouldn't be right. I mean, for me, it wouldn't be right of me to force that on him, because who's to say he might just want a guitar because he sees his daddy playing guitar and he likes that his daddy's making music out of nothing and thinks that looks cool when he's this young.
Well, access is in the questions. You know, it's asking the questions like, do you really want it? It's going to hurt your fingers. Are you okay with that? You have to pass through that. Because I always wanted to learn on a guitar. And I couldn't get my fingers together. I was like, how do you get this one and this one up here? And then they were hurting. And I can say, yeah, I really want it. Like, I really want the results of playing it, but I don't want to do the work it takes to learn the guitar. So it's in the questioning of, would you like to try a lesson? You know, do you want to see what it's like? You know, questions are the best. It's like everybody needs to learn to be a better questioner. You know, the quality of your own life is directly related to the questions you ask yourself. We're constantly asking ourselves questions in our head. It's just being aware of what's going on in our head, slowing down to notice. There's a lot in there. Slow down and notice and ask questions. Tony Robbins, I love, he says, that people go, why am I so fat? And he always goes, because you're a freaking fat pig, or something. He says something like really funny, but it's a dumb question. You don't say, why am I so fat? It's like a tail chasing. What could I do today differently than I did yesterday to propel me in the direction of health? You know, so it's really working on formulating questions that empower you to get towards your goal. So even asking your son, you know, it hurts your fingers if you want to try one lesson. And really, being a guitarist, right, is the other end of the spectrum. It's so far down the line, and he could love it, and he could want it, and he can do like and piano, and great. Let him go down that road and see if he likes it. And if he doesn't, I'm cool with kids quitting things, except if they say they're going to do it. Like, integrity is everything for me. So I say, once you start, you're going to finish. You don't have to do it again, but you're going to finish this time. And I say, but that time, because I'm going to kill it off, because they don't have to finish and they do have to finish. That time, if they, I want to help. Okay, well, you're going to see what commitment's all about. You're going to finish next time. Choose more wisely, because you didn't like it this time. So I'll remind them, remember, you didn't like it last time. Do you sure you want to do it again this time? And I don't forget a thing. So there's no skipping by me.
I can tell. Well,
Yeah.
Jolie, you mentioned questions a number of times, so this is a good segue for me to ask you that question that I said I was going to lead up to. As the most important question of the day, how can people connect with you? Is there a hub? Where would you send them if they want to keep in the Jolie Glassman loop?
Yeah. Okay. So all my social media, everything is under Jolie Glassman. So it's easy to find me there. My gym is South Beach Boxing. So I'm all over that too. And I hate to send people to my website because I'm redoing it, but in a month, it'll be awesome. And that's jolieglassman.com. And then it links to Mind, Body, Spirit, Fit. But Jolie Glassman, you Google it. I got plenty of stuff on me.
I love it. And your name's unique enough that there's probably not 1,000 Jolie Glassmans doing the same stuff as you.
Yeah, no, but when I tried to get, I say, because when I tried to get my web address, they wanted like 10 grand for my name. It was some fitness company in China, but I got it on someone else's phone. They didn't install the cookies right, and I was able to get it for like $1,500. So that was very cool. GoDaddy was like, we've never seen that. But when I say I'm a boxer, I mean in life, and I'm a boxer. I don't give up. I find openings, and I'm like constantly sticking and bobbing, weaving, finding my way. Tenacious as hell.
Boom. Well, the only other person I know that was able to do that was Madonna. Somebody had her name and they wanted her to pay $1 million. And I forget the loophole she found, but Madonna got her website. It's Madonna.com. And you're in good company as far as a boxer, because I think she probably boxed a lot through her life as well.
Yeah, boxing is, people like you, Kelly, when you discovered it, you didn't think, and you were like, wow, it saved their life. It saved his life. My stepdad, right? Stepdad or real dad?
Uncle, I think it was her uncle.
Oh, uncle.
My uncle.
Oh, your uncle. And it saved their life. People don't know. You never know what you don't know. And the mistake of it all is that it's the opposite of what people think. So, yeah. You got to dig deep.
Awesome stuff. Well, I know you said you hate to send people to your website, but am I okay to post it in the comments?
Oh, yeah. It's just not. It's getting redone. It's like ASAP. I'm really leaning into the Fight for It brand, the Fit, because Fit is everything for me. And I love Fight for Intentional Transformation from Love, because people either fight and it's not a pretty thing, or they don't fight because they feel like they're undeserving and they're not fully self-expressed. So, and this is such a perfect time in this day and age to teach people that they can create a win-win and honor themselves and fight for what they want and have it all. So, and. So yes, my website will be much better in a month, and you can put jolieglassman.com.
Sold. This has been an absolute pleasure, Jolie. Like I said, I'm on fire. I'm a pretty high energy person anyway. I don't drink coffee. I wake up like this every day. But I feel like at the end of the day, after 4.5 hours, I would be a little bit drained, and I'm ready to take on the world. So thank you for your energy.
Well, my tagline for my gym is insane energy. So for sure, when people leave me, they're energized. So thank you for joining that crew.
I am so happy to be a part of that team.
Yay.
Seems like our themes have been team and team.
Exactly, because it's everybody. Includer. See? It's the includer strength. Now we got team and team. I love it.
Awesome.
This was so great. And my favorite part was that it was improv. I love non-planned go with the flow. You know, it's very authentically sharing. So this was really great. Thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate it. It was great hearing and having you, Kelly, as well. This was awesome. So excited.
Thanks so much. And improv is definitely, Kelly would agree, I think, my approach to interviews. I like to go with intuition, and wherever it was meant to go, it was meant to go. We had Dave Clare on earlier, another guest, and him and I thought we were going to talk about speaking. We just went into it. Both of us said that. We talked about COVID and what he's done to get through COVID. And he came up with so many strategies on the business side that people could change their business life. And we weren't even planning to go there. We never knew it would.
Well, you know, it's funny, this world, you know, everyone, and my new brand is I'm supposed to be doing these educational platforms. And when I was a school teacher, the principal would get mad at me and be like, Glassman, you're supposed to do your lesson plans before class. And I'd be like, are you having a problem with my results? And he would say, no. So I always say, I'm so trained that the speaking comes from the listening. So it's difficult, I guess, in that storyline for me to create a curriculum that I deliver because I want it to be natural. I want the speaking to come from the listening. I want it to flow in a way that's empowering, not planned. So great. Yay.
Awesome. So Jolie, one last question just before you run is you mentioned the book, you're working on it. The book will be coming out. Do you know when that is? And the reason I say that is that I want to commit to getting 5 copies to give away in a future one of these. But there's the but, I killed it off. So I just want to know roughly, do you know when it's coming out, or is it like a future plan thing?
You're so funny. I don't love that you're getting upset about it. I love that you're being aware of it. You're a rock star. Don't be upset about it. Just go, oh yeah, I picked up on it again. That's so great. Like, it's so great to notice, you know, our language is automatic, and it's how to make our language not automatic, which is beautiful. And the book, so I entered the Hay House competition. So it's due, I got to have it into the editor by March. And then, by June, they'll enter the contest. So I would say sometime in 2021, it'll be probably published. I really have a better and bigger and fuller book that I already did 300 pages, but they told me to do a smaller book to introduce me to the world because I might be known in my community, but not globally. So the Life According to the Rules of Boxing will be more like a don't sweat the small stuff, easy, empowering, energetic ways to live like a boxer. And then I'll dive deeper into that whole pharmaceutical, my whole wisdom of Jolies, my whole story. So that'll be the second one. So by the end of 2021. And for sure now stay in touch, and for sure you get those 5 copies. Yeah. I can't wait.
Keep me honest on that. Make sure that I don't forget that. And whenever you're ready, you just tell me, and I'm happy to pre-order 5 copies and make sure we put it out to the world. So you just let me know.
That's awesome. Thank you. I got a lot of people keep telling me I'm so excited for your book. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's making me nervous. I gotta perform. And like you said, team. I speak, but the writing is run on. So my editor, I'm gonna give him a field day.
100%. But you know what? As we've seen with you, you're a boxer. You're going to make it happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome, this was great. 6,501. I love it.
Awesome. And go enjoy the rest of your adventure that you're on right now, too.
Thank you. The Blue Ridge Mountains. It's awesome.
Awesome stuff. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Happy holidays. You guys have a great time. Let's keep in touch. It was great to be here. Thank you so much.
100%. Thanks so much, my friend.
Bye.
Bye.